Hey!
This is all the guys.
How you
Guys,
going,
this
guys?
is Sarah.
Hi.
Good to see you all. How's technology? Hey.
So where are you at the moment, Sarah?
So I was going to go into the office, but I couldn't get in. So I'm actually in my bedroom at home, and my partner has 3 kids. So they're all trying to be very quiet, but apparently they're baking a cheesecake. So that's pretty cool. I can do this, and then there'll be a cheesecake ready at the end. So if anyone hears any screaming or crying, I promise it's not me, it's the kids.
Awesome. The guys are super pumped to hear everything in the world of online music. So I might hand it over to you, and I'm going to sit here. So if I see anybody have a bit of a light bulb moment, I'm going to get them to put their hand up and chat to you.
Yeah, that would be great. If anything comes to anyone in the middle of the presentation, I've got a bit of a slideshow, just kind of sing out or ask me. Always happy to take any questions, and we can have some questions at the end as well. So I'll get into it and I'll explain a little bit about Ditto. So I'm going to do a screen share. All right.
Ooh,
Is that working?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, awesome. We may have a little bit of a delay as well, which happens on Skype. I Skype a lot, so I'm sorry if I talk over anyone or if I turn into a robot, because that definitely happens a lot on Skype.
That's okay.
Cool. All right, good. All right, I'm going to explain a little bit about Ditto Music, which is who I work for. So we have 6 offices worldwide. Oh, I can hear myself talking back to me. That's a little bit disconcerting, but anyway, we'll press on. So there's 6 offices worldwide. I manage the Australian office, but our headquarters are in Liverpool. We have an office in London, Nashville, San Diego, and we've just set up our Swedish Stockholm office. This year we're going to be expanding to South America, Southeast Asia. It's really growing at quite a fast rate, which is really cool. It's a good position to be in, to be working in the music industry for a company that's growing, for sure. So Ditto was set up by 2 brothers, Matt and Lee Parsons. They're both actually musicians. They had an indie rock band in the late 90s, early 2000s, which none of us can find. Everyone that works at Ditto has scoured YouTube to try and find this band, and none of us can. But anyway, they were part of this indie band, and they were about to be signed to Sony. Matt and Lee are kind of troublemakers, pioneers, push the boundaries. They sort of messed up their chance to be signed to a label. Basically, all of these label execs flew in to see them play. They're an indie rock band, and they decided last minute to play Indian Bhangra music. It's a bit of a shock to everyone, and it didn't impress anyone. They got dropped or they weren't signed. They still wanted to release their music, so they set up Ditto Music as a label. Then got a contract with iTunes, started releasing music to iTunes and online stores. Other people got involved. They ended up getting the first unsigned band into the top 40 in the UK. So that got them a lot of attention, and that was about 10 years ago. Now we have over 100,000 bands that we distribute, all different genres, weird and wonderful, amazing music, crazy music, spoken word, absolutely everything you can imagine, we will distribute it. We also do what we call record label services, which is what a record label would do. So we do publicity, radio, social media, and then we've launched something called Record Label in a Box, which I'll go into a bit more later. But today I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview of what digital distribution is. I'm not sure of everyone's kind of knowledge levels and whether you already have digital distribution or whether you're just, finding out about it or... So, yeah, this is just a bit of an overview, and then I'll give you guys some tips on how you can use Spotify and iTunes and that kind of thing as an independent artist. So, cool. All right. The Oz team. So there's me in the middle there. We've got Anthony to the left in his cute Big Bird shirt. Beta to the right. It's probably all clipped. So, yeah, anyway. And then we've got Liv, Gloria, and Etty down the bottom. Etty was an intern in our Australian office for about a year.
We aren't looking at the same thing.
Sorry, Sarah, I don't know what's going on. Is this in the PowerPoint that you were talking about this?
Yes, can you not see that?
No. You're still moving, but we're stuck on why have a pre-release.
Oh, that's weird. I'm seeing something very different. Hang on, let's try and fix this.
Do you know maybe stop the screen share and start again?
I think it's not actually showing the slideshow, so I was seeing something totally different to you guys.
There you go.
Is that working now?
We've got you.
Yeah. Because I said technology was great. What about I do that? I want it not to be. All right. That was what I was seeing before, which you guys probably didn't. Can you see that now, the Oz team?
No. We can still only see you.
It's not the best presentation if it's just me. I didn't even know you could still see me. Now?
Yeah. Do you want to click on the plus at the bottom and share screen?
Yeah, it says that it is. Hang on. What if I just share my entire screen and do this? Can you see that now?
No.
No, still just you.
Why is it not sharing? It was working earlier, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously showing something really different to me. So you can just see me, not the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Alright.
Is this all in the PowerPoint? Because I have the PowerPoint in my end.
Yeah, it's all in the PowerPoint.
Sorry, technical glitches.
Sorry. Is it working now?
It's still not.
Close down my other windows. Yeah. Is there a way that you can show the PowerPoint
On my end, yeah, and I'll just track along with
on
what
your
you're saying.
print?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Thank you. It's working perfectly when we tested it, wasn't it? It's
Mhm.
always the way. Sharing screen.
Elevator music.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind opening the PowerPoint and then I can just say, next slide.
Yeah.
Like we're doing an old school slideshow.
If I can open it. Okay, here we go. All right. Maybe I can share maybe I can share my screen with you and you can see it then.
Let's try that.
Who is Ditto Music? That's where we are.
Yay! Okay, that was the one that I was looking at before that no one else was seeing. So apologies, guys.
That's
Thanks
all
for
right.
telling me. I could have gone through the whole presentation thinking you were watching it.
That's okay.
All right.
That's where we are now.
So next slide, please.
Yep. There we go.
There we go. Awesome. So, as I was saying, Anthony in the Big Bird shirt, Vader in the Flash shirt, and then we have some of our interns below. Etty is on the right there. She's actually Norwegian and she interned with us for a year, which I wouldn't usually do, but she wanted to stick around. But it's paid off for her because she's just opened our office in Stockholm. So she has now moved over to Sweden and is setting up Ditto Sweden, which is very cool. Cool, here's a bit of a snapshot of some of our Ditto artists. Up the top there, we have some of our grime acts from the UK. So a lot of the biggest grime acts in the world pretty much are still independent and use Ditto. So we've got Stormzy, Little Sims, Lady Lesher. The guy fourth from the end is called Dave. Now, I think that's the funniest rapper's name ever, Dave, but I kind of love it. Dave has been remixed by Drake and is friends with Drake, so he's just blowing up at the moment, but he's doing really well.
We've got
down the bottom we have some of...
One of the girls is going off because Tash Sultana's on the screen.
It's Tash Sultana! Yeah. Oh my god! Just give me a moment.
She's with Ditto. We are so proud of her. She's awesome.
I'm sorry, that's so good. Okay, continue.
I love that reaction, that's the best. But down the bottom we've got some of our Aussie acts. So we've got the Jezebels. So with some of our acts, they might use Ditto for rest of the world, and then they might have a deal with Universal or something for Australia, New Zealand. That happens quite a lot. We have Alex Leahy as well, who's an absolute legend, and she's been with us since the start. She's just had a massive year running Touch, who's really cool. Tash Sultana has just been a global success story, and she's fiercely independent. She's signed a couple of deals recently, so, big things ahead for her. But the really great thing about remaining independent is you can really leverage what you've done as an independent artist if you want to sign with a major label. So I actually helped out Tash's managers a lot and showed them everything that she did and they did independently, so then she could negotiate a really good deal with the major label. So the power was back with the artist, which is really cool, and I think Tash is the best example of that. She puts videos on Facebook that have 6 million views. She has fans all over the world. She uses Spotify. And, she's done it largely on her own. So she's an awesome, awesome success story. And I don't know, the Tash fan, have you seen her live before?
No.
If you ever get the chance, she is absolutely incredible. Sometimes when there's an artist with a lot of buzz, I, am not sure what they're going to be like live, but she's absolutely incredible. And she has a dad. If anyone wants to laugh, her dad has his own Instagram account called Papa Sultana. And he's this, look up Papa Sultana. He's this awesome Maltese guy with a goatee who is her roadie, and he can do the splits. So sometimes when she plays, Papa Sultana comes onto the stage and does the splits. It's awesome. Tash Sultana and UV Boy there as well. So, there's a selection of some of our artists. As I said, we have a lot. There's 100,000. So, all right, I can see you've gone next already. Cool. Record Label in a Box is something that we've put out over the last year, and it's been getting a lot of attention. I think there's articles in Forbes magazines and all that sort of thing. Basically, we help people set up their own record labels. So we have an actual box that has a journal and sample contracts and that kind of thing, but we have a back-end system where labels can manage all of their artist royalties. We have mentoring sessions. Basically, we help people start up record labels. We've had a lot of people who are musicians themselves want to start their own label, but then we've also had people that aren't musicians. We had a bus driver in the UK who has always loved music and wanted to start his own label, and it's been really interesting, some of the stories that have come out of this. We have a guy that I've connected with on Facebook. He's really cool. He was homeless and a homeless musician, and he's set up his own label through Record Label in a Box to help release other homeless musicians. And I actually posted about it here in Melbourne. Someone else picked up on it in the media, wrote a story about it. It just, it's a really cool thing. People can start their own labels and have that support.
What would go into starting your own record label? Like, what's involved in the whole process, and what would be the benefit of actually doing that, as opposed to actually going to a label?
That's an awesome question. Well, I guess what we do is we provide the support and the administration of things. So if you're starting your own label, you need to set it up as a business, get an ABN, do all of the side of it in the admin sense. And then we obviously do the distribution, and then you can administer all of the sales reports back to the bands and that kind of thing. So having your own label, I personally think that it's a point you get to if you've got a lot of artists that you really love and you really want to help them release their music and you want to have a bit of a collective. A really great example of that is Milk Records, which is Courtney Barnett and Jen Flower and all of those guys, and they go on tours together and they have this really great little scene happening. But yeah, some people just want to release music. I have a friend who's really into, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's like Irish jig music or something like that. So he set up a label to release all of this Irish jig music, and it's just sometimes if you have a bit of a niche, it can help to have a collective, and then you can put on shows together. You can help release the artist's music, help promote them, and then, figure out what deal you'll make with the bands as well.
Cool.
Cool. All right, next slide, please. Are you on to the history of music format?
That's the one.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I'm not sure when there's a delay or not. Cool. So this is just a little bit of the history of music formats and basically how much things have changed in such a small amount of time. And often when there's a new format released, everyone goes crazy, everyone gets really upset, it changes the whole game, there's a lot of different things to consider, but basically this has been happening for a long time. People love music, it will always continue, it's just going to be in different formats. So this is just a little bit of a timeline going from, not really that long ago when it was, music rolls for pianolas, and now we're streaming music and the whole concept of ownership of music has changed. So a little bit of a graph there, which is quite interesting. Obviously, 1993, when MP3 files came into existence, that changed the game a lot in terms of having a digital file rather than a physical format. Cool, next slide, please.
We're on to music discovery in 2017.
Cool. So this is an interactive slide.
Okay.
I like to get people's feedback, and so if we could just go around the room, that would be awesome. And if you guys could tell me the top 2 ways that you find and discover music or purchase music. So, if you buy CDs and use Spotify, or if you listen on YouTube and SoundCloud, if we can just go around the room, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. We'll start over here with Riley.
Yep. I use Spotify and just listen to the radio.
So it's Spotify. Can you hear those guys perfect?
Yep, Spotify radio. Yep.
Yazzie?
I use Spotify and YouTube and buy CDs. That's 3 bucks.
Yeah, and where do you buy them from? Shops or
JB Hi-Fi mostly, because they have all the the sections, so it's easier to find things.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I really miss going into CD stores and listening, and yeah, totally. Yeah, cool.
Austin?
Definitely Spotify, YouTube, and Triple J mostly, because they give up and coming artists a chance of getting really found.
Yeah, awesome. That's similar to me. Yeah, cool.
Up the back?
YouTube and iTunes and
Yeah,
CDs.
cool. So you buy on iTunes?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mitchie?
Mainly YouTube, but I also look into stuff like Pandora that gives you new artists that you've never really heard before.
Yeah, the discovery kind of thing, for sure.
I mostly just buy CDs and just go on YouTube.
Find them there. Yeah, awesome.
Victoria?
I normally just do YouTube and the radio.
Yep. Cool.
I'm probably YouTube and Triple J as well. Yeah.
Yep.
I listen to music through YouTube, but I buy music from iTunes, and sometimes I go to a company, you know what I mean? I like Irish music too, and I might buy music to a company from the people who sing the music.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Spotify mostly.
Lots of Spotify.
Cool, is that everyone?
No, 2 more.
I like to go and hear live bands. I buy their CD.
Perfect.
If I go and sell
Yay!
my
Hell yeah!
Good on you.
I try and make a point of that because, well, I'm a musician too. I know how much
Yeah.
it means to actually purchase a CD and to be a support in the crowd, even if it's just a small crowd.
Yeah.
I also use Django, which is an online streaming radio, and probably one in every
Django.
one in every 15 or so songs is an independent release, and you get the chance to vote for it and give them a couple of dollars in tips,
Heck yeah.
which works really well. So that's primarily how I discover new music.
That's awesome.
That's so cool, and that's the first time I've ever heard someone say, "Hey, go." That's awesome.
Woo!
High fives all around.
You'll all go and listen to Django now.
And we had up the back and down the front. How do you guys find new music?
Triple J on YouTube.
Triple J on YouTube?
Yeah, just the radio on YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of radio on YouTube as well.
Cool. And what about you, Finn?
I'm a recent Spotify converter, mainly because
That's because Riley always leaves her dad's Spotify logged in on the
No.
computer.
the reason I like Spotify, which is I think is a similar thing to what Mitch was talking about with Pandora, is I've got a lot of artists that I know that I like, and so if I find them if I find them in a playlist, then I'll just listen to the whole playlist, and you find some real gems that way. That's my sort of discovery tool.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that is so interesting, guys. I love asking this question because I've been working in digital distribution for maybe 7 years now, and it's just changed so much, and the whole idea of ownership has changed. I love hearing that people still support bands and buy CDs, and I use Spotify myself, and I also buy some records. If I go to a gig and I love the artist, I usually try and buy a shirt or something like that to support them because I don't listen to CDs anymore. But yeah, that's really awesome to hear all of that. Has anyone ever heard of blockchain before?
No. That was a whole heap of no's.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to absolutely revolutionise the music industry and it's going to change everything. I'm not going to get into it too much today because it's a huge conversation unto itself and it's very technical and I don't know if I'd explain it correctly. But basically it is a way of sending files direct from the artist to the fan. There's no bank accounts, there's no percentage taken by anyone, and it's all just kind of done online. So people like Imogen Heap, who often really get into things right from the start, I think she released her album on blockchain. It's something that you might want to look up because it's pretty interesting and there's a lot of debate about it because it's not really trackable. So there's a lot of talk about security and people using it, similar to, what was it called, Silk Road, the kind of underground internet, the dark internet or whatever it's called. So yeah, it's a really interesting to look into, but it could be a way that artists can get their music directly to fans, set it for whatever price they want, and then not have to pay a fee to anyone. So that's an interesting one as well.
That's great.
Cool. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to go on too long. I could talk about all this stuff forever. So we'll press on to the next slide.
Yeah. How do you compare?
Cool. Yep. How do you compare? So for the first time in 2015, digital has overtaken physical. Streaming revenue for most of the major labels has overtaken digital sales. Spotify has 40 million paying users, Apple Music 54 million, 200 million paying subscription service for streaming platforms worldwide, and there's a 40% increase since last year. So that's data from 2016. So basically, everyone wasn't sure what would happen with streaming, but it's here, it's happening, it's just absolutely massive, and the good news is that money is getting back to artists. So I'll talk a bit more about that later on, but basically streaming is just absolutely massive at the moment. In terms of iTunes sales, they've just gone down so much. iTunes are really pushing everyone to Apple Music. We have artists that chart in the iTunes charts pretty much every Friday, which is really exciting and a huge achievement, but they don't need that many sales to chart anymore. To give you a bit of an idea, we had an artist that got into the top 10 of the singer-songwriter charts on iTunes with 30 sales. So that's just an idea that people are not really buying music. There's a lot of streaming happening.
Wow.
All
That's
right.
incredible. Next slide.
Yeah. Next slide, please.
Here we go. What is digital distribution?
What is digital distribution? Does anyone recognise that artist there?
No.
That is Eka Vandal, who is Ditto Music alumni as well. She's a very cool kind of, I don't know how to describe her music. It's a bit of a genre bender, but it's really cool. So anyway, the artist will upload music to the Ditto website platform. We deliver it out to the stores. We deliver it to iTunes, Spotify, all of those guys, and then we get the money back through Ditto, and then we return it to the artist. So that's the basic cycle right there. Next slide, please.
Yep.
Can you see other digital aggregators?
Yep.
Yep. Cool. So here's a list of some of the other guys. We have quite a friendly relationship with the other digital aggregators, especially Zelon in Melbourne. They're really cool. The Orchard as well, InGrooves. These are some other options as well. You might have heard of TuneCore and CD Baby. They're really big, based out of the States. A lot of independent artists use them. So there's just a couple of the other options for digital aggregators, and I think it's good to do research before deciding where to put your music and who to go with. There's positives and negatives of everyone. So those are some of the other options there. And then most major labels will have a direct contract, and so they'll deliver everything themselves. And most people who are large digital aggregators will use delivery platforms such as BI, Fuga, and Idol. So we use Idol. It's basically a way for us to deliver massive amounts of content, so we're not manually delivering everything. So that's kind of how it works there.
Yeah, cool.
Next slide, please.
Oh, wow.
So this is a list of the stores that we are partnered with. I will be honest, there's probably about 2 or 3 that most artists will see any money or return from. So a lot of them, might be big in a particular country. So 7 Digital is big in Ireland, for example. Deez is big in France. So there's a lot of stores, but, most of them, it's, might just be big in one particular country. So obviously the big ones are iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Shazam as well. But it's a pretty big list.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, next slide, please. Cool. So these are just some things to ask your aggregator to make sure everything's nice and clear. With any business arrangement for your band, it's always good to just be really clear on what you're getting into and what the aggregator will do. So will you take a percentage? That's always important. Sometimes aggregators might not be clear about that, and you might not realise that a percentage is being taken. But sometimes taking a percentage is a good thing because it means the aggregator is going to pitch and promote your music because they're not getting any money up front. Is there a termination exit fee? That might be in the fine print. So good to ask that from the get-go in case you want to take your music down. To give you an example, Alex Leahy, everything up via Ditto, then signs a deal with Caroline Universal, needs to take it down in Australia, New Zealand. There's no fee for that. But, she could have gotten, some companies might charge $200 or $300 to take something down. So it's just good to be aware of that at the start.
That's a really good point because, especially with where a lot of the students that are here are at, like joining up with one of these companies, like that's not something that will be thought about, to pay to get your music up there for them to pitch it, but then to have them, you actually have to pay them to take it down. That's a crazy thought. Yeah, and I'm happy to send this presentation to anyone who's there today as well, so you can just have that as a reference point of things to ask because, like I said, it's just good to be clear about everything. Another one, is there an annual fee? So there's different business models and structures, so just good to know if there's an annual fee and if you'll get charged every year or if it's just one upfront fee. How do you pay royalties and how often? There's different ways. Some companies still send checks in the mail, which just seems crazy to me. But, then we pay out via PayPal,
Some companies will pay quarterly. Other times you can just log in and request money when you want to. So that's a good question to ask, just so you know how that will work. We have some artists that don't realise with Ditto you need to log in and request a payment. So sometimes they'll say, I haven't been paid any of my royalties, expecting it will be deposited automatically. And then they'll log in and get a nice surprise and have a few $1,000s in there or something. So
that is a nice surprise.
What's that?
That is a nice surprise.
Yeah, it'd be very nice. Do you promote the release? Good to just be clear about that one, because at Ditto, for example, we have different levels. And if you just go for the base level, we don't promote the release. So that needs to be you, or you need to hire a team to do it, or you could move up to the next level where we do some promotion. So it's just good to be clear about who would be promoting the release. Do you pitch for playlists? I'm going to go into Spotify playlists and how big and great they are. And I'm glad that Finn brought it up before, because it's very big at the moment and will be in the future. So that's just good to know. And do you have a newsletter or resource? It's always good to try and be educated and see what's going on. Spotify actually has an entire website called spotifyartists.com, and they just provide information on how to Spotify, how to get the most out of it as a band, and any updates that they release, which they do a lot of. So, it's just good to know if your aggregator has one of those as well.
Awesome.
Cool. Next slide, please.
Digital distribution business models.
Cool. I'm just going to breeze through this one because we kind of covered it before. But yeah, there's a few different business models. Sometimes there'll be a royalty percentage taken and no annual fee. Sometimes there'll be both. Upfront fees versus annual fees. Lock-in contracts and exclusive contracts. That's something to be mindful of. If you sign an exclusive contract for 3 years on your album and then Sony comes knocking at your door, it might be very difficult for you to get out of that contract. And so it's just always good to know whether you've got an exclusive or a non-exclusive contract.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Cool. And the termination fees that I brought up before. So next slide, please.
Issues faced in the distribution industry.
Yeah, so the digital distribution is sometimes referred to as the Wild West, because it's a little bit of a crazy space, because similar to the startup kind of culture, there's a lot of startup companies and distributors rise and fall. Companies like Audio go out of business and get bought by Pandora. It's in a state of flux and it's changing a lot of the time. So there are some issues that are just part of the nature of everything. There's, people have talked a lot about the low revenue for streaming. It's actually definitely on the rise. Bands starting to see some real money come back from streaming, which is just great to see. But obviously there's still a huge kind of gap of revenue where people were buying CDs and were then buying on iTunes and now they're streaming. There's still a huge gap there. Hackers and abuse of technology. This actually comes up with us all the time. The stores will contact us and say that they've noticed something strange on an album or a release, and yeah, there's hackers involved that are figuring out how to play something on Spotify 2 million times in an hour. And luckily the stores are picking up on this and, we can police it. But, there's new technologies and hackers are improving things all the time. So that's something that we have to keep on top of as well.
If that was to happen to an artist, would that be like a ridiculous amount of money that they would earn from that?
Yeah, probably not a ridiculous amount of money for 2 million streams.
Yeah.
It's getting up there though, but it would probably be a few $1,000s. And so if they were doing that every day, it'd be a few $1,000s a day, but Spotify would catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Also the upload of copyrighted material. So there's some people that try to upload music that isn't their own. We've recently implemented an audio fingerprinting system which aims to recognise if someone's uploaded copyrighted material, but it's not, foolproof, and it's just something that always needs to be kept on top of, and we need to try and check everything, but it's just, it can be difficult.
So
I had a weird experience. Sorry?
No, you go on.
I had a weird experience this morning. I don't know if anyone's done this before. I tried to upload a video of my partner's son dancing to Jurassic 5 because he really likes hip hop and I think it's really cute. and it wouldn't let me upload the video. It said that the audio belonged to someone else. So obviously on Facebook now, you can't upload audio that must have this fingerprint technology as well. So I thought that was quite interesting.
That's actually really interesting because I made a Facebook Live of Yasmin performing this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the same thing happened.
Oh!
I made the whole live video and people were seeing it, and then Facebook just went, this material belongs to someone else, but you can't put it up.
Oh, it let me put mine up.
Was it a cover that Yasmin was singing?
It was a cover, yeah. How would you get around things like remixes or covers of songs that are similar to the original that the students here might be making?
Well, we can definitely distribute covers. The way that it works is that we can distribute covers to anywhere in the world apart from the USA and Mexico, who have different laws.
Okay.
So if you want to release a cover in the USA or Mexico, you just have to purchase digital licenses before you distribute it.
Okay.
So you can go to Harry Fox or Easy Song Licensing, excuse me, and purchase, say, 25 digital licenses to cover yourself. And then if you sell 30, then you just top up your licenses. So it's definitely worth doing. It's not scary at all, and we can help people through that process. But yeah, it's just different in the USA and Canada. They don't play by the same rules as everyone else.
Yeah, cool.
How much
and then trademarks. We obviously have some bands that have to change their name, and one of the most common issues that we face every day is someone will say, my music's on Spotify, but it's in the wrong artist page. It's put with all of the other Radiohead songs and stuff like that. So if you call your band name something and you haven't done any research to see that there's no one else called that, you might get put into the same artist page as them, and we can fix it up, but it might be something that will haunt you for the rest of your career. So always good to check and see if there's anyone else with the same artist name first.
We've got a question here.
How much would one of those licenses be cost, or how much would it cost?
Yeah, they're not too expensive. It really depends on the song. So if you want to cover a Justin Bieber song, that will be more expensive than if you want to cover, a Holly Throsby song or something like that. But you can just do some research and find out, but it won't be as much as what you would sell it for, so you'd still make a profit.
Cool, perfect. Shall we move on?
Awesome, next slide, please. Yep.
How does it work?
All right. So how it all works. The artist creates an account on a website. This is the same across all digital distribution companies, by the way.
Yep.
Artist adds their release, easy step-by-step process. We kind of have, step 1, step 2, step 3 to make it nice and simple. We have people that are 80 years old using our system, so it's nice and easy. You pay for the distribution via credit card or PayPal. The release goes live. You can set the date when you want it to go live as well. The sales are then funneled back into your artist account. You can look at all of the sales reports and trends, which is similar to a sales report, but not hasn't turned into money yet. It's like we get information from iTunes, but we haven't actually received the funds yet. And then you can request a payment, and we pay it out via PayPal.
Cool.
So that's a basic overview of how it works.
To ask
Next
you
slide, please.
to ask you a question in layman's terms, why? So obviously, like, you can get the songs onto iTunes and you'd have licenses and everything. What's the main benefit of going through a company like Ditto?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You can't actually get your music distributed yourself. You will usually need to go through an aggregator, and the main point of it is that we can get it to all of the stores really quickly and easily for you and get the money back to you. But yeah, there's just, unless you are a fairly high profile artist, it's much better to go through an aggregator because you can't just go to Spotify or iTunes and upload it yourself. So you sort of need that middle person.
Okay, great.
Cool. What you need for your release. So you can release a single, an EP, or an album. You can choose anything that you'd like to release. So you just need cover art. That's actually been changed. It now needs to be 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. iTunes have just updated that. So you need digital cover art, so just the front cover of what would be your CD. You need MP3 or WAV files, and then a PayPal account so you can get paid. And with the music video, we send you the specs for the video. Some people really like to sell their music video on iTunes. They don't really sell too well, I'll be honest. People don't tend to buy too many music videos from iTunes, but some people still want to have it up there, which is completely fine. You can also do mixed media releases, which is a combination of songs and video, which can be a really great idea to package it all up together. And then we also distribute to Vivo. So you can set up a Vivo channel and you just need some artist images, and then we send you the specs so your video is accepted, and then again a PayPal account to receive the money.
Sensational.
Cool. Next slide, please. I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly because I'm just conscious of time here, but here's a bit of a snapshot of our back end, and you can see how many releases, tracks and streams are sold. You can drill down even further and see which countries. You can export sales reports. Gone are the days of, receiving an Excel spreadsheet from a record label twice a year. You can log in at any time and see what's happening, as well as obviously looking on the Spotify store and seeing your streams. It's all very transparent, so there's no hidden money from anyone. It's all out there, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide, please.
Yep.
These are the trending reports, just a bit of an example here. So the different colours there are the different releases, but you can see, how many streams might have been made per day. It's actually really interesting. Sometimes if you go on, an international tour, or if you're touring around the place, you can see the spikes in the different countries. It's all pretty interesting. I'm a bit of a data nerd and I like this kind of thing, so it might not be interesting to other people, but it is to me. And if it's your music, obviously it'll be interesting to you. So that's the trending reports there. Next slide, please.
Yep.
Bit of a time frame here. So when I first started in digital distribution, it would take 6 weeks to get something live on iTunes, and we used to send off CDs, and it was all a bit crazy, whereas now we can get something live on iTunes in a few hours.
That's awesome.
Otherwise, it's around 2 to 5 business days for most of the stores. Shazam's a little bit longer. Shazam can be a couple of weeks. So if you've got a radio campaign, it's good to get everything up on Shazam nice and early. But it's always nice to plan ahead. We love our artists that are organised and plan ahead. Give yourself a bit of extra time and space, because you don't want to, do everything in a rushed way, miss your release date, it goes into the wrong artist page, you don't have time to fix it up, etc., etc. And then it's just a bit of a stressful experience when it can be nice and stress-free if you plan it well. Sales reports and that kind of thing. Trending reports come through every couple of days from iTunes, so you can see that really quickly. And then the sales reports, it's generally 50 days after the end of the month or quarter. Sometimes it's a bit longer. So some artists get a little bit confused and think they'll have money straight away when they make a sale. It doesn't work that way. It'll be a couple of months at least before you see that money into your account, because we haven't actually received it yet. So as soon as we receive the money and the reports, we upload it to the website and then you can claim it yourself.
Awesome.
Cool. Next slide, please. All right. Quickly talk about pre-release. So with the pre-release, it can really help if you want to get into the charts. So basically, if you have a pre-order on iTunes, it means it's not actually released, but people can pre-order it and they'll receive it on release day. And it means that there'll be a spike on your sales on release day. So that's why every single major label artist will have a pre-order, because they're trying to get into the charts. And it can be good for independent artists to do as well. So I think it's for charting purposes, but also to have a few different points of interest on Facebook. You can say the pre-order's now live, and it just makes it a bit easier for marketing as well. Instant gratification, if you see those 2 tracks there, Kings and Into the Wild, they're called instant gratification tracks, and it means that when someone presses the pre-order button, they'll get those tracks straight away. So it's a way to give someone an incentive to pre-order your release on iTunes. And then there's a concept of windowing, which you might have heard about. Adele does it, some other artists do it. Basically, you release on iTunes only first to encourage a lot of sales, and then you put it on Spotify later. Most artists these days will release everywhere on the same day, apart from doing a pre-order on iTunes. I think it's up to the artist. I'm always happy to advise and give people my thoughts on something, but my overall thoughts are it's your music, you can do it exactly how you want to, and that's one of the good things about the digital world. Cool, next slide please. Alright, so I want to leave time for questions and stuff as well, so I'll go through these pretty quickly. There's a couple of tips for iTunes and Apple Music to use it as an artist. Apple Connect is another social media and a way that you can connect with your fans. You can get images added to your gallery on iTunes. You can get people to review and rate your music, which is a really good thing to do. You can use pre-order, like I was talking about before. Apple Music does playlists as well, so you can talk to your aggregator about getting pitched for those. And then, I don't know if you guys have heard of Bitly before, but it's basically a smart link. So you can create a free Bitly account. And I don't know if you've ever seen those links on Facebook and that kind of thing. It's a customized link. So instead of some crazy, ugly-looking HTTP ugly link, you can put your band name pre-order as the link. So that's a good thing to use as well. And you can also track how many people click that link. So it's a sort of smart way of seeing, are people engaging with what I post on Facebook? How many people saw that blog article about my band? How many people clicked that link? So it's a bit of a sneaky, cool way to see who's clicking on the links.
That's awesome.
Cool, next slide, please. All right, my favourite thing to talk about and what I'm absolutely obsessed with at the moment is Spotify playlisting and all of the data and information you can get from Spotify. So when you have an artist page on Spotify, so as soon as you've got your music up on Spotify, and any band can be on Spotify, by the way, you don't have to be signed to a label, you can be completely independent, you could all put your music up there next week. So as soon as you have your own artist page, you can sign up for Spotify Fan Insights. That means that you can change your image at the top, you can customize your page and make it look beautiful, but you can also get information as to who's listening to your music, where they live, how old they are. It's really, really interesting. So Spotify are basically giving power back to the bands to use Spotify for their own advantages, and it's a really cool thing. So playlisting, absolutely massive. Everyone's going nuts for playlisting at the moment. I pitch a lot of our bands to get added to New Music Friday or A1 Hip Hop or something like that, because some playlists, there's one playlist, I think it's the biggest one, it's got 10 million subscribers. So that's like being added to the biggest radio station in the world.
Wow.
So playlisting is absolutely huge. You can check the About section of your artist page to see a bit of information, where people are based, where they're listening. But if you sign up for the Spotify Fan Insights, that's the best kind of information.
Awesome.
Next page, please. You can also create your own playlists. So we have quite a few playlists at Ditto Music, and we like to support and promote our artists. We have an Australian playlist, we have New Music Monday, so you can also create your own playlists as a listener, but also as an artist as well.
Awesome.
Next page, please. So the next page will give you a bit of an overview of what Spotify Fan Insights will show you. It's really cool. So it will show you, how many streams on one particular day, how many saves. So saves means if someone saves you to their own playlist, how they listen on Spotify, who they are, is it a woman, is it a man, where do they live. It's all getting a little bit creepy, but it's really cool. Really good information, and anyone can see this about their music.
That's great.
Cool. Next slide, please. All right, I'm going to keep speeding through so we have time for questions. Here's an example of some of the Spotify playlists. So we work with Chimpan Orange, and they've been added to some great playlists. There's things like Chilled Roots and Autumn's in the Air, but then there's also Double J and Triple J playlists and lots of other non-Spotify curated playlists as well. So Spotify curates their own, but then you also have millions and millions of playlists being created by other people around the world. So it's just a great way to build up your fans and also your streams on Spotify as well. Cool, next slide please. How do I get on a playlist? This is the question of the music industry of the moment. Everyone wants to know. So if you're signed to a label, they can do it. Some publicists will do it. Some aggregators will do it. If you have a direct relationship with Spotify, however, they told me the other day they're getting 3,000 playlist submissions a week. So it's getting very competitive. They have very full inboxes. It was quite interesting. I was up in Darwin with the guys from Spotify last year and we were hanging out a bit, and they said that the major labels used to absolutely ignore them and everyone thought that Spotify was just this awful part of the music industry and it was a real afterthought for a release campaign. Now all of the major labels, everyone's onto the playlist. They'll contact Spotify to help with their release strategy. What playlists can you put me on, etc. So it's been a total 180, and everyone's really interested in these playlists. But sometimes if you're just doing well and you're getting some buzz about your band, you'll get automatically added by Spotify. So we've seen artists go viral on Spotify, which is a really cool thing to see. They'll just, get picked up in a few playlists and everyone loves it, starts listening to it, and then they go viral. And then if that happens, that's when the major labels start falling. We had an artist called Ryland who we worked with. He's an Aussie hip-hop artist from Melbourne, and he got playlisted a lot. He went global viral top 5 charts and US viral top 5 charts. So he had Atlantic Records from the States calling him. He got flown up to Sydney by all the majors. People are watching Spotify to see what's happening, which is pretty cool. Cool. Next playlist, please. Next slide. I say the word playlist so often, it's just ingrained. So we use something called Soundcharts to track all of the playlists now. So if we're working with an artist and pitching them to playlists, we'll use a system to track it all. Otherwise, it's just becoming a little bit too tricky. So Soundcharts is a really cool way of seeing what playlists you've been added to as well. All right, next slide, please. Here is Ryland, who I was just talking about. So, yeah, really cool story, really happy for him. He's basically used Spotify to get the attention of everyone in the music industry internationally. So he's done a great job. Next slide, please. I'm just going to speed through a bit because we're nearly on an hour.
That's all right.
It's Tash again.
Yay!
Yeah, I was just going to say she's an awesome example, like I was saying before, of an independent artist. She's got a great management team, so they've obviously helped a lot as well. But she's just built everything up herself, released everything independently, and, added to so many Spotify playlists. And if you look at her fan insights, she has fans all over the world. She's just become an absolute international sensation, and she's built it all up via social media and Spotify mainly, as well as support from Triple J and radio, but she's really done a lot of it herself without a label behind her, which is really cool.
That's great.
Which you guys can do too. All right, next slide, please. Just a few little facts here. Streams do now count for the IRE chart. You can integrate Songkick to show your concerts. A definition of a play is 30 seconds, and offline listens are counted and sent to Spotify's server. So if you're listening on your phone, that will still count as a stream.
Awesome.
Next one, please. And I think we're nearly at the end.
Yeah.
Cool. So a few other general tips and tricks, which I'll send to you guys. Pandora is another good option. Getting everything set up on all music guides so your bios and pictures appear on the stores. And then if you haven't heard of AMRAP Air It, check it out. It's a great way to get your music to community radio. And there's a couple of others there as well. I'll send this through to you guys. If we can do the next slide too, please.
Yep.
So future of the digital music industry, this is what I believe. There'll be a continual decrease in physical digital sales, increase in streaming, trends towards better quality of music. This whole idea of people not needing to own music has changed everything. There can also be new and unknown services. There could be an absolute game changer that Google's working on. You never know. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. If we can go to the next slide, please.
Yep.
All right, this is the last one. Basically, I feel like it's a really positive time in the music industry for independent artists. You don't need a record label in the way that you used to. They can still help. I think record labels can be great, but they're not absolutely necessary. You can still do a lot on your own, as Tash Sultana has proven. It's a global industry. Artists like Courtney Barnett, Hiatus Coyote, massive fan bases all around the world. It used to be so hard for Australian artists to crack internationally, and now it happens all the time. Tame Impala, it's just happening constantly. You can record things inexpensively and distribute them inexpensively. To give you a ballpark figure, you can get a single distributed for $16. It's not expensive.
Wow.
And the industry needs bands to survive. Don't forget that. People will always love music. You've got social media as a tool. And my final kind of piece of advice is to just make the music that you want to make, because it's a global industry out there and you'll find people that will love it. So that is it from me. Now we can go to question time, if we have time.
Yeah, all good. I'm going to turn the camera back on so you can actually see the guys. There we go.
Quite pixelated.
Oh, you're all right. There you go. Now we can all see Sarah in bed at home.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go for it.
How does Ditto differ from a service like CD Baby?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have an office in Australia, so customer support is a big part of what we do. So we have people that answer the phones in each of the offices. So CD Baby and TuneCore are great, but often it's emails. It's a very big kind of company with a lot of artists. But Ditto also does additional services. So we do the Spotify playlist pitching, we do publicity, we have other services as well. So CD Baby and TuneCore are generally distribution, and they get your music out there, whereas we have some other things that we do as well.
Yeah. I've got a question just on an unusual release. I'm not sure if you guys have seen, but have you been following the new John Mayer album thing that's coming out?
No, tell me about it.
So he's releasing 4 songs a month for the next 8 months as part of a triple album. Why would somebody do that, apart from to tease the fans?
Yeah, lots of people are doing this at the moment and sort of drip feeding their music out to people to just continue that momentum, because an artist like John Mayer, he'll still make a lot of sales and he'll still, do well on iTunes and all that kind of thing, but he's obviously wanted to just keep this momentum rolling, so it's not just a huge launch, release the album, and then it's all done and dusted. So he's spreading it out over a year or whatever, instead of just having a big burst for a couple of months. So lots of people are doing this, and because we don't have, with physical distribution, you have a limited time of space in JB Hi-Fi, whereas with digital, you can do anything that you want. We have artists doing all of these crazy things and releasing visual elements on YouTube to match what they're putting on Spotify, and you can just do whatever you want. So I think it's cool. I really love it when artists do stuff like that, because I'm interested to see how it goes for them, and I like people that push the boundaries and try something new, because why not?
Yeah. Does anyone else have a question for Sarah? I might ask one final question for the guys, because they're all really shy. Being that these guys are often recording at home, recording onto SoundCloud and taking videos and audio clips of themselves, what should be the next step for them in developing their online presence in music? If you could leave them with one thing, what would you say would be the perfect next step?
So obviously building up your social media and putting that content out there is a really great idea, making sure that it's good quality content, but also I think it's great to do, Facebook Live and connect with people, and I think it's a really cool thing to do. But also put music out digitally, get your Spotify page set up, get your music onto iTunes, and just have a go and see how it all goes, and try and educate yourself at the same time. So, go to the Ditto website and see what information there is. Go to the Spotify artists page and see what information there is, because you can do a lot of it yourself and learn a lot of things on your own. You just got to take that initiative, I guess.
Yeah, perfect. All right, guys. Well, we might let Sarah run. Do we want to say a big thank you?
Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for being part of my Skype audience, and I'm sorry we had some technical difficulties, but that was fun.
That's okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you a call straight after this, but I think we all learned a lot about the state of digital distribution and also like the different platforms that are out there and what's involved.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
See you, Sarah. Bye. That's pretty cool. There's a whole world out there. I didn't know. Oh, welcome. I'm going to quickly. I'm going to quickly put some music up.
Great. If I get that set, that information to me, that'd be great. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Because we've got the next one here too. There's another one in there too. We're going to get 12 or 10 minutes.
No, yeah. Give us 10 minutes, we'll be set up for the first. You gotta tell me how you did it.
Yeah, I'll have to leave, man.